Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Kumudini Subramanian, an Indian board certified dermatologist. I've completed my MBBS with the Government Tuticorin Medical College. I finished my MD Dermatology in KMC Manipal and have also cleared my DNB, and I then went ahead to complete a one-year fellowship program in dermatosurgery and hair transplant in Cutis Academy of Cutaneous Sciences, Bangalore. I'm here to answer a few queries on skincare. My interests are in the fields of clinical dermatology, aesthetic dermatology, trichology, pediatric dermatology and dermatosurgery. During my internship, I was impressed with dermatology. I think as the skin is the largest organ in the body, it is also the most versatile organ since it's a good indicator of our general health. Also, there's a lot of scope for research in this field and it is ever evolving. I think that's why I chose dermatology. A dermatologist is a medical professional who diagnoses and provides treatment for conditions pertaining to skin, hair and nails. They must have completed their primary MBBS followed by a degree called Diploma or DNB or MD Dermatology if they have received their education from India. A dermatologist has further expertise in a variety of subspecialties like aesthetic, pediatric or procedural dermatology. A cosmetologist is someone who is trained to do procedures for beautification of skin, hair and nails who have not received more than a year of training in most cases. Be aware when you get yourself treated from the so-called specialists or cosmetologists because we see a lot of mishaps happening when some quacks perform aesthetic procedures. They land up with complications than better results most of the times. So be conscious of who you want to trust your skin with the next time you visit a clinic. Yeah, in the present scenario, an overwhelming proportion of people are reporting severe hair fall 1 to 3 months post their recovery from COVID illness, especially after the second wave. Now, if you see, COVID hair loss occurs due to a condition called telogen effluvium. To understand what is telogen effluvium, let me tell you the normal scalp hair physiology. In a normal healthy scalp, 85% of the hair is in the growing anagen phase and 15% in the resting telogen phase. The growing phase lasts for around 4 years and the hair rests for around 3 to 4 months. A new hair will grow beneath every hair that sheds, and this is why up to 100 hair can fall per day. In stressful conditions such as COVID, post-labor, delivery, chronic fevers like typhoid or even a stressful exam, 70% of the anagen hair grows prematurely into your resting phase to protect itself. So after 2 to 3 months of the telogen phase, more than 300 hair starts shedding per day, which can worry patients a lot. The good news here is that this type of hair fall is temporary and it tends to normalize in around 3 to 6 months. The hair lost during the shedding phase grows back again with minimal volume loss. Also, hair supplements and peptide based serums can help grow hair more quickly. However, nutritional deficiencies, if any, also need to be evaluated and treated appropriately during this period. This sunscreen potentially leading to vitamin D deficiency is a misconception. Yes, vitamin D deficiency can lead to bone weakness, muscle weakness, immune dysregulation and skin dyskeratinization. However, the reason why Indians have vitamin D deficiency is exactly not clear. Fair skin can get vitamin D easily, and the darker the skin, the more sun exposure is needed to get sufficient vitamin D. Also, foods do not contain enough of vitamin D. That's why we have to go for sources like salmon, tuna and milk fortified with vitamin D or yogurt with vitamin D to replenish it from our diet. Now, coming to whether sunscreen can block vitamin D synthesis, let me explain the photobiology behind it. UVB in the sunlight is responsible for vitamin D production, and UVB is available in the atmosphere from 10 am in the morning to 3 pm in the afternoon. UVA is present, however, from sunrise to sunset. And SPF that you see on the sunscreen labels is a marker of how much UVB is blocked. Let's say a sunscreen of SPF 30 blocks 97% of UVB rays, SPF 50 sunscreen blocks 98% of UVB rays, and you do not get complete protection from UVB by going any higher on SPF. Less amount of UVB exposure is enough to produce the necessary vitamin D from the skin. Even those who don't use sunscreens in our country have been diagnosed and observed to be deficient in vitamin D. And you should know that too much sun exposure can lead to aging, tanning and skin cancer. So it's better to apply and reapply a sunscreen without no second thoughts at all. So most sunscreens that are available in the market are safe to use during pregnancy and lactation as well. Okay, maskne is mask-induced acne. It can happen either as an aggravation in individuals with existing acne or in those individuals who never had acne before. Let's say the reason why it happens is because of the increased humidity and increased temperature which happens inside your mask. Also friction, occlusion and pressure are additional factors. The main reason why acne happens is a separate topic in itself. We'll discuss that later. How do we prevent mask acne? Yes, you should replace your masks routinely and never use a blue or surgical 3-ply mask more than 4 hours, and do not use a cloth mask for more than a day, and do not reuse your N95 mask for more than 3 days. Also remember to take a 15-minute interval every 2 hours of wearing a mask. Also wear less makeup under your mask. Remember, a 3-ply mask is supposed to be discarded after single use. Do not use harsh detergents for your cloth masks, and don't use detergents on your N95 masks. It can be instead put in boiling water overnight. That much is enough to, that can be reused, but it should not be used after 3 days. And how do you treat this mask acne? Before you wear your mask, use a pH balanced gentle cleanser, which is followed by a non-comedogenic moisturizer. After that, you can use a broad spectrum sunscreen, which is usually physical. In the evenings, once you remove the mask, you can double cleanse with an oil or balm based first cleanser followed by a gentle cleaning foaming cleanser. This is to make sure the sebum, sweat and the moisture saturation which had happened because of the mask is taken care of. Also avoid harsh scrubs on your face, and retinoids and benzoyl peroxide which you have been prescribed, in case you have been prescribed for your as a treatment for your existing acne, use it only as a short contact treatment and don't let it remain on your skin overnight.